Monitor for us?
Live. Yeah, it will.
Okay, and we are live, and welcome. So, who's on first? Who's on second? What's on second? I don't know who's on third. So, you are here with me, and I'm here with you. I've got a lot of information to drop, especially about this guy. And I'm not going to tell you his name right away. I'm going to do a whole slow build up. So, you're listening to Ask Dr. Love. It's a daily podcast where you can learn about Asian medicine, herbal medicine, acupuncture, nutrition, and your health. If love is the answer, what is the question? So, Ask Dr. Love is heard on Spotify, iTunes, Radio Play. It's heard on every iHeartRadio. Ask Dr. Love. And you can go to Siri and say, "Hey Siri, play Ask Dr. Love podcast." You can go to Google, "Hey Google, play Ask Dr. Love podcast." And
What about Alexa?
Alexa, you can even say, "Hey Alexa, play Ask Dr. Love podcast." You got to say ask, because if you say Dr. Love podcast, you're going to get some kind of sex therapist. You don't want that.
But you teach some of that as well, though.
To my advanced students, not to people off the
Right.
street. Yes, I do teach sexual stamina, sexual qigong to my advanced students that have been with me at least.
So tantric stuff.
Okay, now you're pushing. Oh, I forget. He is a student. So this gentleman right here, I did a house call for him on his dining room table
Many years ago.
15 plus years ago. And then I treated him for carpal tunnel. I treated him for a bunch of things. And then he ended up going to acupuncture school. Yay, Jonathan. And then he was a martial artist. He's chief instructor, Lost Legacy Martial Arts. And then he incorporated the Qigong in, and he became my first certified Qigong instructor. And then from there to acupuncture school, then he went to Shaolin Temple in China. And now he's doing Mei Ha Quan martial arts, which has a Qigong component to it. And he also certified his instructor in the Blue Dragon system. That's pretty amazing. So I have a certificate to give to him for his 15 years dedication to Blue Dragon Qigong. And this is a Master of Medical Qigong and Qi MD, a Doctor of Energy Medicine. So
This is beautiful. It is a great honor, Shifu. I really appreciate this, and it's been an honor. It's been a long journey on the road, and you've helped so many people, and have always been my inspiration to get back and help other people. And that's what kind of set me down the road, like you said, to become an acupuncturist as well. And thanks to you, now I have a very successful clinical practice and a successful life, good health. Met my wife in acupuncture school as well, and now we have a beautiful baby who's 5 months old today. So I think I owe a lot of that success to you. And I would, anybody watching, I would highly recommend doing the Blue Dragon program. I'm part of the weekly classes too, the Blue Dragon Tribe, the How to Boost Your Immune System online course at loveqigong.com, right?
loveqigong.com.
Amazing course, and I can't even. Qigong itself is only just like a small little bit of everything you teach. If you really want to get into it, I mean, and when I had gone into acupuncture school, I think I was already so far advanced of everything else because you had already taught me, you had introduced me to not only Qigong and Chinese medicine, but also Egyptian medicine, Egyptology, Native American medicine, raw eating, juicing. Could go on, neuro-linguistic programming, things like EFT, emotional freedom technique, and not only the Blue Dragon Qigong, but you've also incorporated many other individual smaller systems of Qigong under that roof. So it's probably, and even through all my years of martial arts, and I've been in martial arts my whole life and been training under Phoenix Legrand at Lost Legacy about 16 years now, and in my travels to China and other places in the East and Japan, I still want to say that the Blue Dragon system is probably still the most complete and most probably the deepest thing out of everything I've seen. And there are there are a few other very well-known Qigong masters out there, but I think that most of them don't have the depth of information that you have with the system, because you've compiled in these other things, right? You're shaman, a couple of different West African tribes, and Native American medicine, and the Egyptian stuff. Nobody's really teaching all that stuff together like that. So it's been life-changing for me, and I wanted to tell everybody the story how we met, which was kind of funny, actually. I had just started training with my martial arts master, Phoenix, and I think I was at a bar in Fort Lauderdale area one night.
Oh my God!
And,
Yeah.
Vanessa had brought him over to me, and I was standing facing the other way, and this was, I guess, around late 2004, 2005, and he comes over, and I was 25 years old at the time. I'm 40 now, and starts massaging my shoulders. And I look over, and I thought, this is weird. There's an older gentleman touching me at a bar, which growing up on 90s hip-hop and that kind of stuff was just unusual for us. Maybe Fort Lauderdale, not so much unusual, but at the time, I thought it was strange. Then you went on to actually, you gave me a back cracking. And at that point, I went to like cloud nine. I mean, literally that released so much unblocked, I don't know, chi, blood flow to the brain. I was so high. It was like next level. I still don't think I've ever felt anything like that to this day. And it must have been years and years and years of stuff just backed up in there. And I said, wow, that it was so intense, and it lasted for hours and hours and hours. And then you had invited me to come do some of your courses, and we got to know each other. And I've done many of your weekend seminars, which are all fantastic, where we'd spend the whole weekend, everything from juicing and eating raw, and doing your cooking classes, which are amazing. Phenomenal chef, mostly vegan, raw chef. Learning everything from your pestos to your pates and your salads and all that stuff, to doing the qigong and just the whole nine, and learning more and more. And the other thing that I wanted to mention with the qigong and the martial arts, I can say 190%, it's taken my martial arts to such a higher level. And the most, I mean, the obviously breath control and root. I know I saw you had Lester and Marcus Brimage on here the other day, and I want to talk about that in a minute. But interestingly enough, the first time I went and pushed hands with Lester, we invited him to our dojo to come teach, and that's how we introduced him to Marcus. He had made a comment. He's like, wow, I can't believe what a root you have. You know, he's like, normally guys that aren't like Tai Chi masters or experts don't have this kind of root. And I didn't say anything to him because that was my secret, but now I'll share it with you all. It's from daily Qigong practice, from doing the Blue Dragon, the original 14 set exercises. I just did the whole set yesterday for about 45 minutes. It's still the most complete set of medical Qigong I think I have learned, and I don't know, I probably know a dozen different sets now, and it's still my favorite, and I exclusively practiced that set for over 10 years, almost every day, and that had taken my martial arts to the next level, my health, my posture, everything to the next level. And I'm not saying everybody should go become an acupuncturist, and initially you actually had recommended me not to go to school and do it because you didn't want me to get into a lot of school debt and more school loans, which I still had from previous school before. So it wasn't a bad suggestion, and it's true. With any field, 50% or more of people that graduate from any sort of degree actually never end up working in the field. I'm glad I didn't listen to your advice on that one and did it, because now I could help so many more people, and I've helped thousands of people recover from, you know, serious illnesses, and you've been doing this your whole life. for 30
Musculoskeletal
plus
problems, organ dysfunction,
Right.
chronic and degenerative disease.
years. Exactly, and then with the herbal medicine and the functional medicine, that's our internal medicine. So everything from GI issues to pretty much anything you could think of, really, because we treat it all.
We treat the whole
any chronic
spectrum.
issues, really,
Anything.
right? Emergency, go to the hospital. Anything else, stay away, because they're not going to help you, right? They're going to throw a Band-Aid on it and fill you full of drugs and want to cut you and stitch you and all that stuff. So my life has dramatically, almost 180 degrees, I think, turned from what I was doing before. And I used to help you with all your marketing stuff and do the design and the websites and everything. And now I'm so happy to see everything that Eduardo is doing with you, the Holistic Motivator. The job you guys have done with the rebranding and the marketing is fantastic. And I think we had been talking about this 10 plus years ago. I was telling you, you need to do the online course. You need to do the online course. But I was going back to school and I physically couldn't do the computer thing anymore. It was killing
Right.
me. Like you had mentioned, the carpal tunnel and back pain from being seated all day. Even though I was doing my Qigong, I was working a lot. I was spending a lot of time.
But you
on the computer.
were doing hard martial arts.
Also, the combination,
like 2-3 hours.
probably 6 to 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Wrestling with guys that weighed 70, 80 pounds more than me and all that. So I did more than 10 years solid of that, combined with all the working on the computer. Was not a good combination for the hands and the back, and that was actually what led me to I had a little crisis at the time, and I knew I had to repurpose and reshape my whole life. And after everything I had been through and everything I had learned from you, I didn't have another choice. I knew I only had one choice. I couldn't go back to. I was always self-employed, but I couldn't go to a corporate job. I couldn't go be, Homeland Security or EMT. Like, I knew I had to do what you're doing,
Right.
because I saw the changes and more importantly than what I saw, I felt what the Qigong was doing for me. I felt right away from the beginning, and that's what drew me to it, and that's what kept me through. Like you mentioned, when you're young, it's most of us in martial arts, we want to fight, which I did for many, many years till, and now it's more teaching and more Qigong and more Tai Chi.
Well, you
and
competed
things like
for a
that.
couple of years. You got some big trophies.
We did all sorts of stuff, and then we had a bunch of our students, like Marcus Brimage being one of them, was actually a professional UFC fighter for many years, and he's fought in other leagues as well, fought all over the world, television, the whole nine, and some of our other guys were fighting amateur and pro as well. We did all that, but at some point in your life, you're like, what's next, right? And physically, I still like to mix it up a little bit. I'm still training, but I'm not 25 anymore. I know I still look it thanks to all your Qigong and the healthy eating and everything you've shown me. But I went on and like for one, the medicine is you can't separate the medicine from the Kung Fu. You can't.
Exactly.
Right? Any real Kung Fu master or any real martial artist, to some extent, most of the traditions have the medicine ingrained.
It's built in because of injuries. If you're training, you're going to jam a finger, you're going to hyperextend a joint, you're going to tear something, you might even get cut. You might be bleeding.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so there was no emergency room. So the headmaster of the school had to know how to do wound therapy, how to do wraps and poultices and plasters and
bone setting
and herbal liniments. You had to learn all that stuff. But now, go to the emergency. That's not good.
And now the martial arts schools is just money and belts and trophies, and they took the medicine, they took the spirituality, they took the Qigong out of a lot of stuff.
They took it out. So Shaolin, the slogan is Chan Wu Yi. Right. So Chan is the Buddhism, which is the 5 precepts.
Known as Zen to most of us.
Known as Zen. And then there's the Wu, which is the martial, and then there's the Yi, that's the medicine.
Right.
And those 3 together become Shaolin. And so the Qigong becomes part of the Yi. Okay? So the soft overcomes the hard.
And it's completely true. And like you had mentioned, I've spent months living at Shaolin Temple. I've been on multiple trips over there. And the daily routine over there is you wake up at 5:30 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
You do 30 minutes of meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Then you do 30 minutes of Qigong. It's about 15 minutes of Qigong and about 15 minutes of standing. Right?
Standing.
15 minutes every morning.
Zhanzhuang.
Every single morning.
Really?
Right? And
Zhanzhuang.
then you do about half an hour of Tai Chi after that.
Uh-huh.
Then you have breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
Then you take a little break. Then you do 3 to 4 hours of training, have lunch, take a little break, do another 3 to 4 hours of training, have dinner, sometimes do a little training after dinner as well. But you always start your day with the meditation and Qigong, right? Because they will not do any hard training before they do their internal training, before they do their soft training, before they prepare their body physically.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why a lot of martial artists and a lot of athletes and people have injuries. And then the other thing I like to mention to people and my patients when I talk about Qigong is why a lot of people are telling me, oh, I don't need to do Qigong, right? Because I do yoga or because I exercise. I go to the gym or I'm running. Not that there's anything wrong with yoga, but also same thing with yoga. They've done the same thing to it as they've done with martial arts in this country. Most people who practice yoga are not yogis. They're not living the lifestyle. They're not.
Exactly.
They don't understand the deeper meaning. Maybe they know a couple of mantras, this and that, but
Yeah, mantras is only a small part of it.
realistically,
The point of a mantra is to clear your mind so that you
Thank
can
you.
focus and meditate. The point of doing hatha yoga, which is the exercises, is to strengthen your body so you can sit in meditation longer. So they're doing it backwards.
which is exactly what I wanted to bring up with the Qigong and what I tell people when they say, oh, well, I ride a bike or I go running. But while you're doing that, you still got the monkey mind going. You're still thinking about my kids, my work, my job, my email, all that. But when you're doing Qigong, and even in yoga, sometimes you're like, am I doing it right? Or is this better than the person next to me? Or whatever, how does my butt look in my tights? Right? All this stuff. Who farted in the room? We have all that. But when you're doing Qigong, you're focused on the internal. You're using your yi. You're using your attention. You're working on the breath, and you're sensing or listening to your own body. And it's impossible to have all that stuff running through your head. You can't do it if you're practicing correctly.
Exactly.
And it's the only practice, or one of the only practices, that you can actually achieve that.
It's a moving meditation, and it's mind-body healing. So like you said, if you're running, you can have monkey mind. If you're biking, you can have monkey mind. But when you are fully engaged in Qigong, you cannot think about anything else. You have to think about the breath, the posture, the movement, the visualization. You have to think about all these things that are going on. And so you're so engaged with the movement, the monkey mind turns off.
Yeah, exactly. It's impossible. And even if the little thought comes, you go right back to it. And for the people who, like 99.9% of people, oh, I can't meditate. Well, when you do Qigong, you don't have to really think about it, because I'm not asking you to go sit quietly in the room by yourself and think about all your negative thoughts. Everything's engaged, mind, body, and spirit. Not just mind, body, and the spirit should be there, like if we're practicing correctly, or for, I would say, most people who are doing yoga. Not like I said, not to knock yoga, just the reality is, just like martial arts, how they've watered down the stuff and made it more Americanized and more simple and easy to follow, it is beneficial. You're still getting the exercise, you're still getting, the stretching, flexibility, calisthenics, but you're really missing the spiritual and the internal.
You cannot
aspect.
separate spirit from health. You just can't. And you can't separate spirit from martial arts. Because the one thing that impressed me about my journey in martial arts is you only meet force with force. You, as the defender, cannot excessively return fire, right? So if you come at me with a knife, I'm going to defend with a knife. I'm not going to pull out a gun. If you come at me with a stick, I'm not going to pull a knife. I'm going to get a stick. So I'm going to meet force with equal force. I'm not going to go overboard. And that is so anti-American. American is like, you pull a knife, I'm going to pull out a shotgun.
Well, even if it's funny because when you say that, even like when Bruce Lee became Americanized, he said if you if you don't quote me exactly, but it was like he had a saying where it was basically like take everything to the next level. Like if you cut me, I'll break a bone. If you break my bone, I'll kill you. And like I said, it's not the exact quote, but it was something like that, and it kind of took away, and that's why a lot of the martial artists had beef with what he was doing. And not that I do or we don't. I mean, I think he was incredible, but he did try to kind of, I guess, make it more sport and more competitive. And some of it, and while he was deeply, deeply spiritual and was deep into philosophy and all that, I think from watching the movies and some of the stuff that's out in the media, people lost a little bit of that about that, and now they want to make it where it's just competitive, just arrogance and all that, which it wasn't. You had to listen to the whole picture. If you take a little piece out of context, it would be that. But to further go on what you're saying, Morihei Ueshiba, the founder of Aikido, his philosophy was you blend your spirit with that of your attacker. So you're not separate from the attacker. So you move. When I move, you move.
Right.
Just like that.
Exactly. So the I forgot the point just that second. There is no opponent.
Right.
There is no opponent. It's you and you.
And if you look at it on a cosmic level, right? I mean, really, that's the truth. What's the difference between my subatomically atoms and electrons and neutrons and yours?
Exactly.
None, really,
None.
right? We're just vibrating at different frequencies, and we're all just little bits of mass, and even our consciousness is universally connected.
I'm a big sci-fi fan. Did you ever watch Deep Space Nine?
It's been a while, but yeah.
So there was a group of aliens that lived in like a cosmic soup, and then when they needed to do something, they would form into a bipedal creature. They were shapeshifters. That's what they were.
Okay.
They were shapeshifters, and they could become anything they needed. They could become birds or mice or whatever, or some type of human, and they could shapeshift into your exact duplicate. And when the problem was solved, then they go back to that primordial soup.
And we like to think of some of these things as far-fetched or that's sci-fi. That might be a little far-fetched, but who knows?
I saw it as the ultimate reality.
Exactly.
Whoever was writing that had to be deeply spiritual to understand that we come from some big cosmic force, and when our physical bodies die, we go back there.
It's 100% based on things that are scientifically sound. And what I like to tell people with the Qigong, and we say when, like, as we're pulling down the heavens or cosmic Qi, and when people say, oh, it's ridiculous, oh, energy, this and that, I'm like, it's actually is about as scientific as you can get. And I heard a story not too long ago on NPR that they were talking about cosmic rays. And we so thousands of years ago, they were talking about bringing heavenly and cosmic Qi. But now we know cosmic rays are real. You can actually build a box and see them. Not only that, they've had incidents of cosmic rays. When Toyota first came out with the computerized brakes, that was crashing people's cars. Cosmic rays. They had an airplane that went into free fall. Cosmic rays. They had cosmic rays that they found were responsible for messing up voting machines.
What?
So the ancients knew about this stuff, and today we're still laughing about it because that's what we've been taught. We've been trained to think this is ridiculous. And when you first learn about some of this stuff, if you've not grown up with it, it sounds a little far-fetched. But once you feel it, and once you see it, and once you translate, because the same thing when acupuncture came here. When you try to talk to an MD about Qi, they'll laugh at you. But if I tell them my endocrine system, my digestive system, everything is chemicals. The chemical energy. Transformations of chemical energy. If I tell them my nervous system, everything, muscle contraction, electrical energy, right? We're warm, thermal energy. What's more scientific than that?
Exactly. And the last 4 or 5 years, I prided myself when doing the research to use Western scientific language to explain Chinese medicine processes.
Which I've been loving, by the way, because I think a lot of people sometimes are thrown off by your, I don't want to say like presentation, but character almost. Like some people, because they expect when they hear doctor or Dr. Love, even though it's your actual name, they, I think because of the propaganda that the pharmaceutical companies and the medical device manufacturers have put out there, they want to belittle what we do. They want to make people think it's not real and we can't help you. But as you know from years and years in practice, how many patients have we taken that have done every single medical procedure possible, have been on every single medication and had zero success, and their doctors told them, don't go do that, it's not going to work, and then they come to us, and what do you know? It's a miracle. And it's not rare. It's not 1 in 100. It's not 1 in a million. It's common.
It's every day.
Right? Every day. If you treat
day.
10 patients, you're going to have 2 or 3 miracles, and the 80% of them are going to get better, and the 1 or 2 that don't is usually because they didn't stick with the program, or they came in with a
cheated
negative
on the
attitude.
diet.
Exactly.
Exactly.
They didn't follow directions.
So I treat a lot of women for recovery of breast cancer. So this one woman came to me and she said, my husband insisted that I come. I've already had the mastectomy, I've already had the chemo, and I feel like crap. And I can't get out of bed, I'm tired. But I don't believe in Chinese anything, and I definitely don't believe in Chinese medicine. But he pushed me to come here. So do your thing, Dr. Love. And I'm like, wow, what a positive attitude.
Right.
So I treated her. She called me up the next morning and said, I want to apologize to you for my attitude. I feel 500% better. I don't know what was in those pins.
And that's not uncommon.
And
get that all the time.
I get that all the time. So she already had the mastectomy and the chemo, and she felt 500% better just from the pins.
Which is interesting, and the scientific literature now actually supports that acupuncture is effective for side effects from radiation and from chemotherapy. That we actually have scientific evidence from big universities like Harvard and MIT and Johns Hopkins that have been doing research on this kind of stuff, and they've come up to the conclusion. The WHO has been endorsing acupuncture since 1999. There's like 100 different conditions and different levels of how much effectiveness they think it works for. But we know we treat almost any chronic condition, and specifically well known for that. And I will say I am very skeptical. I am very cynical, naturally. I think it comes from the parents for most of us.
Come from the parents, right.
And even though I had known Qigong was so powerful, and even though I had felt all these transformations within myself, and even though you had treated me many times for musculoskeletal stuff, when I was in school and they started talking about what acupuncture could do for internal stuff, I thought, bullshit. A lot of this sounds absolutely ridiculous. And when I got into the school clinic and started treating patients, and the patients started telling me, oh, I feel better, you wouldn't even believe the patients at first. You'd think, yeah, do you really feel better? I don't know. And then once you're in private practice for a while, and you see patients continually telling you, I feel better, I feel better, I feel better. What can you say? And who cares if, you want to say, is it placebo? There's placebo in every treatment. If you're taking a pharmaceutical drug, if you're getting a surgery, there's placebo involved in that as well. And what they found, though, is placebo, it only can be up to a 30% effect, and it's not long-lasting. We get long-lasting effects for our patients.
Long-lasting. And horses and dogs don't understand placebo.
Thank you.
So
nor do they like to be poked by needles.
Nor do they want to get stuck by needles, for sure. But my first experience with acupuncture was Oscar Wexu was treating racehorses with acupuncture in New York. So I read this newspaper article, and I'm like, acupuncture, there's an idea. So I go to the racetrack, Belmont Racetrack in New York, and they said, oh, he just left, he's staying at this hotel. So I go to the hotel, and I go to the front desk, and I'm looking for Oscar Wexu, and like, oh, he's right over there. And he said, that's amazing that you're curious. I just opened a school in Montreal. And so he shows me a chart of a horse, and he shows me the pins, 6-inch pins. And he's showing me how he's doing acupuncture on horses. And I'm like, well, the horses don't understand what he's doing. But the trainer knows that the horse is not moving.
Definitely knows.
And so the horses, they're like, who's this guy sticking a... And then all of a sudden the horses start running. And I'm like, okay, I'm in. And then I sold everything. I moved to Montreal for the next 2 years so I could learn acupuncture.
And now the schools are vastly, vastly different. I can only imagine what it was like at that time. What year was that?
That was 1979.
The year I was born.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was
absolutely.
1979. So we had Professor Jean Schatz from Paris. We had Marie de Lavelanet from Paris, and then we had a Vietnamese acupuncturist. His name will come to me in a second. Dr. Ai from Vietnam, and those three lived in Paris, and they all came to Montreal once a month to do lectures and workshops with us. So it was pretty wild.
And the interesting thing is, like I said, you were learning then when I was born, and now you've been my teacher for 15 years, and now I'm teaching others. And I see now Edouard's been with you for a while, very loyal, amazing everything you guys are doing together. And I'm so impressed by everything that he's doing in his presentation. And I feel like he's, in the future, he might even be more successful than yourself or myself ever, because he's starting at such a young age and he's got such a great teacher. And that's what it all comes down to, is being able to pass it down to the next generation. And now, like I said, I'm helping so many people and teaching others, and it's, you're making a change in people's lives. And it's like, I always like to say, hey, if you could save one life, but the truth is you're affecting hundreds, thousands, maybe more, maybe tens of thousands. And obviously, if you look at your YouTube channel, you've got hundreds of thousands of people that have seen your stuff. You've been all over the world teaching. And then, like I said, we had Marcus Brimage in Leicester in here the other day. So Marcus Brimage was a professional fighter, used to be UFC, did the whole Ultimate Fighter, was on BET before that even.
He fought Conor McGregor?
Yeah, he fought Conor McGregor. McGregor's first fight in the UFC was against Marcus. It wasn't really fair to Marcus. The weight range was kind of out of whack. But yeah, big deal. I mean, he fought the number one contender, probably, depending on how you want to put it, of all time maybe, or for that weight category or whatnot. But Marcus came in as a professional fighter with none of that kind of experience in these healing arts. Phoenix was the one that brought him into the Lost Legacy program about 7 years ago. Phoenix is still his core strength and conditioning trainer to this day. Phoenix brought him in and started teaching him judo, because while Marcus had a Brazilian jiu-jitsu background and the kickboxing, he didn't really have a good understanding of the takedown concepts in the judo. I was his judo partner at the time.
Wow.
I was actually the first person to teach him yoga. I was the first person to teach him Qigong, and I was the first person to teach him Tai Chi.
Wow.
And now it's beautiful, because now he's a yoga teacher professionally.
Professional yoga teacher.
I introduced him to Lester. Now he's been training with Lester for some time. He's got another Tai Chi teacher as well. And we introduced him to you, and now he's learning from you as well. So
now he's studying Qigong. Yeah.
And it's not about who taught who or what, but, well, I mean, you always want to pay respects to your Sifu. So it's an honor to be here with my Grandmaster, and giving back and to share everything you've taught me and everything else I picked up along the way with the next generation. And it's just so beautiful to see, like I said, younger guys like Edouard, who is my age when I started with you, starting from scratch and already having such a great foundation himself, being a trainer and a public speaker. So it's just like his future is limitless, right? And it's just amazing. And all you out there that are watching, join the Blue Dragon Tribe, get on loveqigong.com, get on the How to Boost Your Immune System online course, because this is daily classes, and you don't have to do it daily because everything's recorded. So you can go back on the Vimeo channel and you'll get the password for all that. You can watch it if you have time, an hour here, half an hour there. You got these podcasts where you could call in, you could ask Dr. Love questions, right? You got the cooking shows, and this is for everybody. It's for family, it's for kids, adults, seniors, and that's a great thing with Qigong, is nobody can tell you, oh, I can't do that. Right? And I tell people all the time, you don't got to do CrossFit. You can go for a walk. You can do some Qigong. Mm-hmm. We might not all be we might not all be able to do yoga. Maybe it's too hard to get on, up and down from the ground. I can't get into these positions. I'm not that flexible. Anybody can do Qigong. Right? There's no excuse. Join the loveqigong.com program. I'm a member. I'm proud to support, and I'm still learning new stuff 15 years down the road. And you keep bringing in new stuff. And like you said, you've been doing a lot of scientific research, which I appreciate a lot, because I think from my background and my standpoint, it'd be harder for me to pull off some of the more, like the dance stuff that you're teaching and other things. But when you bring in the medical terminology, and I could explain to somebody why it works,
exactly,
it makes more sense. And I will admit, when you first brought in more of the musical and the dance stuff, sometimes, and I think some of the traditional martial arts guys first might be a little bit put off by it. They might think, it's not traditional. But if you look down at the roots, it actually is, though. Because what's Dao Yin? right?
The way of yin, the way of following the internal yin energy as opposed to the yang, which is the hard.
And it was a dance, right? And the 5 animal dances, all that. It was all dance and Tai Chi. And if you look at any culture, if you look at their dancing, it's martial.
It's all martial, exactly.
African dance, Native American dance, Latin dance, even the Russian dancing, the Jewish dance. They have martial elements in every single dance culture.
Exactly. That Russian jumping and kicking.
For sure.
That's martial.
And that's hard. That is a workout for your legs.
That's almost impossible to do.
And the other thing with the dance, right, that you talk a lot about with the spiritual release, the spiritual and emotional component of the dance. When you're dancing, you're out of your head. So it's really a beautiful thing that you've done. And it's also, and rather than like some of these martial arts systems, and I don't look at it now, and I think, like I said, I was a little off-put at first, and I could see how some people might think it's a little strange if you're like super hardcore martial arts. But it is very traditional. There is music involved. I mean, Tai Chi is also performed to music.
It's a ballet. Tai Chi was a ballet.
100%.
And then in hardcore training, they have Chinese drums.
Rhythm.
So
Absolutely.
and so the drummer is
every
playing
style: Korean, Japanese, karate,
kung fu.
Muay Thai. It doesn't matter. Silat, like all that stuff. They have the music and the drumming is all part of that. So I love
It's
how you
all
put together the
rhythmic.
body drumming and all that. It's some next level stuff
It's very next level.
and very traditional at the same time.
Exactly. I want to pull people in, and I figured dance was the easiest way to pull people in because a lot of people feel comfortable dancing. But then once you get in, then I slow it back down. And then I engage mind and body so that you can understand the movement. I engage the why before the how. Because if you understand why you're doing it, then that gives you more motivation, gives you stronger motivation to actually be consistent in a daily practice.
And the other element that I know you mention a lot, you say is when is the last time you actually dance? Because a lot of people don't feel comfortable dancing, and which why what you're doing is a beautiful thing because you're not on that Soul Train line. Nobody's judging you.
Right.
And you're doing the same move. So
Exactly.
So you're getting the benefits. And you're getting the benefits and you're getting the freedom and you're getting that connection of the spirit, mind, body, and spirit with the music. And it's fun. It's fun.
It's totally fun. It's totally fun. So somebody called in and asked a question, what you could do sitting in your chair at work. Okay? So the first thing you can do, and this looks like a ballet move, but this is wave away worries. And you're just sitting in your chair and you're stressed at work and you breathe out. And then you breathe in and you breathe out. And you do that 24 times. And that's it. And then you do that every 2 hours. So this is just wave away worries. And then if you want to get fancy with it, you can lean up and then arch your back as you do it. You can do an additional 24 times. Look up, arch the back. Okay. That actually feels good. And we've already done Qigong for 2 hours today. We already went to the beach and went swimming. I think we were the first people in the ocean this morning.
Beautiful.
Okay. And then another one you can do is you can take your pencil or your eraser at work, and then you can take your right hand, you can cross over and make a circle. Right, this is the cheek ups, exactly. Okay, so the right goes out, and then this comes in. Okay, so this goes out, and that comes in. So in, out, in. In, out, in. Okay? And we do that 18 times, and then we reverse. The left hand goes to the right, and the right hand goes to the left. Left hand goes to the right, right hand goes to the left. And we do that 18 times. And those are two really easy exercises you can do at your desk.
And we're opening up all these arm meridians, right? The yin and yang. You're opening up the heart and the lungs, the chest, and all those other meridians from the feet that run up into the chest as well.
Exactly. The 3 leg
So
end
you're
on
getting
the
a whole
chest. And the 3 yin start on the chest and end on the hands.
And you're stopping to do this and this for a minute, which is going to, get all that over contraction of the muscles and the tendons from being on our phones and being on the computers. And loosening all that up. We got a question from Sharon here as well. She was asking, so your standing practices, iron shirt, are there other trainings to consider? Great question. Awesome to hear that you are actually doing that instinctively. It's very good that you're actually listening to yourself, listening to your body, and doing what comes natural. Are there other trainings? I would say if you're part of the Blue Dragon tribe, there are many other trainings. That's one of the things I like about going back and watching your morning classes, because you're bringing in new things. And if you're talking about other standing practices, there's different like 5 Buddha palms and 7 Buddha palm techniques, and different qigong sets that are mostly standing with very little movement. If you look at and different things like that. And I think you had shown the pressing the pestle the other day from the I Ching Jing.
Exactly.
On your toes,
right.
standing up. That's an excellent standing practice to do as well.
Mm-hmm.
There's different types. There's another Shaolin Zhangzhuang where they're basically hands out to the side, and you're connecting your Lao Gong to the earth and kind of trying to feel the earth. So instead of this way, you hear.
Okay.
And you teach at different positions.
I teach. So there's one for the pericardium and the liver where you press down with the big toe, and then the pericardium, and so again your elbows are out, and you're sinking your chi, and so you're pressing down, and so the pericardium goes to here, but when you press down with the toe, the liver comes up and ends at the bottom of the breast.
There's 14 there.
And so pericardium ends just to the outside of the nipple.
Yeah.
So by pressing down and pushing up with the feet, you actually push energy into your lungs, and this is good for breast health. And this is good for women who have emotional issues.
Oh yeah. Well, yes, liver and pericardium. Your
Liver
two
and pericardium.
main culprits there.
Right.
The thing I've always loved about your system is how medical and the details. Now, when I was at Shaolin Temple, they were like, forget all that stuff. You don't want any of that stuff, and that's a lot of the way the Shaolin to teach the Qigong. They want you, because as an advanced student, it's important, and sometimes to get to that next level, you want all that information. But they look at it like beginners, that contributes to monkey mind. They want you to focus on listening, on Song Ting, right? On dissolving and on listening.
Okay.
Listening and feeling what's going on rather than trying to think, oh, where does my because then you have a lot of this is engaged.
Okay, I understand that, and I agree with that if you're in the temple.
And I agree with you. At first I was like, what do you mean? I was like, no, my Qigong is better than your Shaolin Qigong is my first thought. And then I thought, oh, wait a minute, I've been doing this for a while. For beginners, it's probably greater. But, like I said, one of the things that drew me to your system was the explanation. And a lot of teachers don't explain. Do as I do, and they don't say anything.
Squat.
And
yeah.
You're one of the most, I think, prolific and well-versed in the medical literature, being a doctor of this and having all these different experiences, and as far as teaching it, like you give the which was secret knowledge. A lot of the Shaolin guys, they won't teach you because they think you're not deserving it. You haven't proven yourself.
You haven't proved.
And that was traditional kung fu. You train for 20 years, then maybe
20
the teacher
years, and
will
then
give you some.
Maybe they'll give it to you.
Right. So you're giving the people the information off the bat, which even shows why there's that much more value in the system, and why I think for everybody, and like I said, even with what's going on now, money's a little tight, but $25 a month is nothing, right? We spend that on coffee or breakfast, and even the impact in your life is going to be worth $1 million. So that for me to say, hey, I'm going to make a commitment, even though like I said, times might be difficult. My wife's not working now. The clinic's been closed for a little bit. We're just opening up, but our business is down 80% from where we were before. It doesn't matter because I've already reaped so many rewards, lifetimes more rewards than what I could ever pay back to my Sifu. So it's and I would encourage everybody to get that same benefit and don't give up. And when you've learned a little bit, don't take the class for a week or two and be like, oh, okay, I get it. It's the same thing. No, it's not. Another thing with the Gong, Qigong, and or Kung Fu is the work. You have to put it in the work. You don't get anything from knowing this stuff. If you teach me, if I read your book, it doesn't help you at all.
I'm so glad you brought that point out, and that's the reason why I teach the secret knowledge, because until you put in the time and the work,
it doesn't matter. Take the secrets, have fun with them.
Yeah, you can't do anything unless you actually put in the work.
It doesn't help you.
And you became an instructor, and then you learned exercise physiology, and then you became a ChiMD. So it was it was a path that you pursued.
And there's things I'm learning now from my Shaolin Sifu or other Qigong teachers or at school, and I'm like, bingo, Dr. Love taught me that 10 years ago or 12 years ago or 15 years ago in a seminar, but I wasn't ready for it, or it didn't make sense, or I just didn't know what to do with it. So it just kind of went, over the shoulder. And now I'm like, oh, I've known that this whole time, but now I'm using it.
Exactly. So those are the trainings that you need to consider, Sharon. So first is to become a Qigong instructor, and that's going to take 6 months to a year, depending on how much time you want to put into it. And then Chinese exercise physiology, another 3 to 6 months. And then ChiMD, then meridian therapy. You have to learn the muscles, the joints, the meridians, and the points. And then you have to learn about how to move energy through your hands. And that's another 6 months to a year.
Which was also, I can't stress enough from a martial arts level how much more that knowledge of anatomy and that sensitivity and that feeling helped me not only for healing work that I do now, but also from the martial aspect. It's a whole nother level, right? When you're aware of meridians and when you're aware of energy flow, when you start learning the acupuncture points, aka pressure points, it separates you and brings you from like that very beginner. Anybody can learn to throw a punch or a kick, but what's next, and what more can you do with that? And can you heal people? Can you heal yourself?
Exactly.
Can you heal your aging mother? Can you heal your cat or your dog?
So that's what Bruce Lee said. Points that heal can also kill. So he had a diagram called kill points.
Right, Demonk.
And all of those kill points were actually positive acupressure or acupuncture points. And then I started thinking, wow, this is why you need the training.
And then what are the two things that make the difference? One is having the work, so you know how to make those points work for you. And two is the yi.
The intention, the mental intention, focus, and
what
will.
What do you want to do at that point?
Right.
Do you want to use it to heal? Do you want to? Because we know that there's an energy transfer from the mind before anything happens. Same way we move our arms. First, the brain has to think it, right? So when we're using our emotions, our mind, our spirit, and the body as one unit, everything you do in life, whether you're a salesperson or on a computer or healing, everything becomes better because you're unified, right? Which is the same thing we look for in true yoga.
It's development, it's self-development, growth, spiritual alchemy is one word that's used in Qigong. And alchemy is to transform the animal nature to the human nature to the Buddha nature. And what is the Buddha nature is to become enlightened. That means to let go of your attachments to wrong ideas and wrong beliefs and things that don't serve you. So if you're attached to a belief that weighs you down, I can't do that because, that's against the rules. The only rule is if it makes your heart free, you should do that.
And I love the attachment thing, and I'm looking and thinking again about my certificate, which I love, and this is very meaningful to me because it came from you. But mostly because I put the work in. I mean, realistically, this is just paper, right? And when I started training, I thought, oh, cool. And when I got my first certificate from you, I was like, hey, and I hung it up, and I thought it was like the biggest deal in the world. And it is, like I said, knowing that the value of the time and the effort and what I've gained from it is what makes it important. Not having a bunch of certificates on the wall personally, and I appreciate this, and I'm glad, and I have put, like I said, 15 plus years in it, and I do this full time. Personally, I'm not going to use the title of master as anything, right? I'm only 40. I've only been training 14 years. You're my grandmaster, but my students call me Sifu or Sensei. It's just teacher.
It's just teacher.
Right?
Yeah.
And these things are beautiful, and you should look for, and like I said, all your certifications are amazing because you're getting the knowledge in steps, and you have a protocol to your teaching of how and when you should learn it, and you're making sure that people are doing the work and actually utilizing it. So, and once again, attachment, if money's an attachment, like $25, that's not even half a tank of gas.
That's not even lunch for two.
Exactly, or even one, depending on what kind of lunch you're eating.
Exactly.
So invest in yourself. Invest in yourself and support. This man has given his whole entire life to serving the community, serving others, helping people get off the drugs and find help after they've been tortured by the system. And many of the patients we have coming in, they have literally been tortured. They've been cut and poked and jabbed and stuck and put on drugs with all sorts of medications.
They go to 7 different doctors for the same problem and end up worse than when they started.
Right. And if it was working for them, I'm all for it. If it doesn't work for them, it is time to try something else. And if you're smart enough to know to never get into that whole system to begin with, you should be smart enough to stick with this, like I have. Like I said, it's been incredibly successful in my life, personal and business-wise, mental, physical, and spiritual as well. So this is probably the best investment I have ever made out of everything, is to be a student. And different people might have their different critiques and things. There's always going to be pros and cons to every system or every teacher, and you always got to take the good with the bad. I can tell you from my personal experience, it's been 99.9% all good. And I'm happy to contribute whatever I can back and to come out here and share my experiences and my story with everybody else. And anybody in the Blue Dragon tribe, or anybody listening, from a traditional Kung Fu standpoint, regardless of age, if you've not been a student of Dr. Love's for this time frame, that would make me your Kung Fu uncle or your older brother. So I'm here to help any of you all as well. So if anybody has any questions for me, you can reach out on the group page. I'm looking at the messages, or just find me online, Jonathan M. Fields, or Integrated
So where's your
Medicine
clinic
US.
at?
I'm in Coral Springs, Florida, like Tamarack, Coral Springs. It's
441 in
it's
University?
I'm University and like Atlantic Boulevard.
That's
kind of
cool.
that area. So
All right.
I'm about 30-40 minutes south of you in Delray, and I still send all my northern people to you. And
I sent all my Tamarack people
exactly.
to you.
And we have people going back and forth. But if it's just like I said, personal questions, or if you have questions about my training with Dr. Love, or what the process has been like, or his different systems or programs, I'm happy to help and answer any questions and give back. Same way as he's given so much to me. I'm here for you all. And thank you everybody.
We
for
should do
joining.
a monthly seminar at your clinic.
We were doing that. We did that for a couple of years. Actually, the last one was a little bit over a year ago. I just saw yesterday on my Facebook thing. It was like a year ago that came up.
Right.
I am actually building out more rooms in the back now, so I'm not going to have the open space anymore.
Oh, okay.
We were starting to get very busy, and my wife is going to come work with me as well. So
Oh, that's
she's gonna
great.
and my brother is a medical doctor, and he's moving here from Nashville, and he's working at a hospital, but he's going to be sharing the space
Okay.
as well. So we built more space. But if we do the Kung Fu tournament again, I'd like to have you do, and we do need to start doing a monthly thing again. But yeah, that space is it's all that's going to be left is a hallway.
Okay.
In there, yeah, it's going from 2 rooms to it's going to be 5 rooms, and like I said, so I'll have an office. My wife will have a room to use. My brother will have a room to use too,
And there'll be a spare room for me once in a
yeah,
while.
of course. Well, you've treated a few patients in my office. You're always welcome. Like I said, doors always open for Sifu. But yeah, it's great to see this, and I'm so happy to see that. I think you, Marcus, and Lester are going to be doing the
Yeah,
thing now. Very exciting.
They're really excited. They're going to come up every Monday.
Cool, very cool.
And so we're going to combine yoga with Tai Chi with Qigong.
Awesome.
So,
and it all blends together, right? It's all one of the same, cut from the same cloth, just different philosophies and different cultures, I guess, and different.
Well, the word yoga means union
Right.
of mind and body, and that's what
Right.
Qigong is. Qigong is union of mind and
Right,
body.
and all the chakras are actually acupuncture points that we use, and energy centers that we also use in Chinese medicine. And you can argue about who it came from first, and I think what you've always taught me is that most of that came from Egypt and Tibet, and then traveled down
And then travel to India and China
India and
from
China
Tibet.
and all
Yeah.
there. And more and more research I've done has shown that I actually proved that right. Do we have more questions here?
Well, just comments.
Uh,
Somebody said, I bet the class is expensive. Is that true?
$25 a
A
month.
month.
That's,
Yeah.
I think that's probably cheaper than anything you will find that has even a quarter of this value. If you were to come to a weekend seminar, I guess expensive is relative. And it's actually not expensive compared to other programs and other teachers.
It's practically free.
Yeah.
That just
Well, yeah.
that just barely covers our costs.
Yeah.
Because once we hit a certain number, we're going to have to increase the
Yeah,
price.
and when you're at a martial arts school, typically classes would be like $150 a month or more usually.
Or more,
depending, especially for if you have daily classes and as much stuff as you're doing. The access that you're giving people, 1 hour a day of Qigong class, and like I said, you can always go back and watch it if you're not available at that time. I have a baby at home, so I understand, and I'm working full time, so I can't always do it at the same time. Plus, you got this podcast that's available. Plus, you're doing the cooking classes. Plus, you got other stuff going on too. So I think $25 a month is dirt cheap, and
Absolutely.
maybe even too cheap. Because I think if you put things too cheap, sometimes people don't put enough value in
They
it.
don't give it value. Okay, somebody said something about Falun Dafa. Falun Gong is great. It's a spiritual Qigong. And as spiritual, it obviously does have health capabilities, but the focus is on spiritual, and I'm all for it. I focus on the medical, he focuses on the martial, but in order to be well-rounded, you want to do all of them. Okay?
The Blue Dragon system is much more well-rounded than that. Like you said, it is mostly, they have Qigong practice in it, and it is mostly spiritual and almost religious to an extent, where your system is not religious. It's very secular, but it has elements from all these different cultures, Tibetan, Egyptian, Chinese, Native American, African, so it's much more encompassing and much more in-depth than a system like the Falun Gong. From my perspective and from all the research I've done, I think that you have a lot more to offer. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
There's
and
nothing wrong with Falun Dafa, but I've got,
do both.
yeah.
Do both. The more you know, and like Bruce Lee said, the more tools in your toolbox, the
Right,
better it is for you.
exactly. Now the website is, first you want to go to lovechigong.com, and that'll give you the links to everything else. I could give you a bunch of things, but just go to lovechigong.com and you get everything from there. Is there any branch in Atlanta? I have students in Atlanta. I have taught, yes, Master Reed Premier Martial Arts is the branch in Atlanta in Marietta, Georgia. So you can go to Premier Martial Arts Marietta. Ask for Sifu Michael Reed. Or you can just contact me, lovechigong.com, and I'll direct you to the one in Atlanta.
Definitely start with the website, do this programming, because you're not going to be able to get this daily information. You're not going to be able to get the whole program. But Sifu Reed is fantastic. He's part of the tribe as well. I think I see him on the forum.
Yes,
as
he's
well.
on all the
So,
forums.
you can
And
come
he's
meet him online.
paying his monthly too.
Yeah, but like I said, we all should be. So do the website, and when everything opens back up, you definitely will have further benefit from hands-on transmission and from being with an instructor who could correct you in person. That's invaluable. You can never ever replace that. But once again, as a membership of a martial arts studio, you have to drive there. It has to be on their schedule, and it's going to cost you 5 times, 10 times more money. So do both, 100% do both. But support the head of the system, support the Grandmaster. Go to lovechigong.com. You will not regret it. There's nothing better that you can do for yourself in your personal, spiritual, physical development. You're going to learn so much. Everything from, like I said, psychological stuff with the neuro-linguistic programming to your dream programming, the Tibetan
the
stuff.
sleepitation, make spiritual practice your sleep. Make your sleep your spiritual practice. Nobody teaches that.
Yeah, it goes on. Well, you probably have to find 10, 15 different teachers for everything that you've put together all in one. So depending on how serious you want to be with it, and if you want to later on become an instructor through his systems, that's always available. But more important than all that is just do the monthly, go on to lovechigong.com and do the work. That's what Gong means. Gong is the work. Chi is you're doing the work of cultivating your chi or cultivating your health, and your existence, your life force energy, right? Boost your Ming Men, like all that stuff. You have to do the work. So start now. Go there today. Sign up. You will not regret it. It's the best thing you will ever do for yourself. I personally guarantee it. And like I said, if anybody has any questions about it, look me up, Jonathan M. Fields. I'll be happy to talk to you. I'll return your emails. I'll return your messages. I won't ignore you unless it's like 3 o'clock in the morning. You know.
Okay, we have a course coming up this weekend. If you're interested in learning anything, put a comment in. I want to learn more about the path to become an instructor. Okay? So, do we answer all the questions? Do we look at all the questions? Oh, they were just comments.
I mean, you can read them. There's a lot of them if you want to keep going. But
Well,
kinda late.
it's kind of late. It's time to wrap it up. I want to thank all of you for tuning in. I want you to know how much I love you because I want everybody to be better because we've already made a decision. We're going to be the best possible versions of ourselves. And we train every single day. But if that's what you want, we're here for you. So, thank you, Jonathan.
It's an honor. It's a blessing. I love you too, and we love all you all. Thank you everybody for joining us, and thank you everybody that's supporting this man. Please keep it up. Bring your friends, bring your family, share the links, or teach them little bits and pieces of what you learned. Spread the love. Don't be stingy. Don't be greedy. Once you get these benefits, you're going to want to share them with your friends and family. It took a long time to get some of my friends and family in. When I first got in, they were, oh, you're crazy. You're too old for this stuff, or it's all spiritual wish-wash. Once they start seeing the benefits in you, they will want some. So thank you, everybody. Sifu, thank you so much. It's been a great honor. And I want to thank Edouard, the holistic motivator, for everything that you're doing to help Sifu over here and all the back-end production here. You guys are awesome, great team, and we love you all.
Thank you. Your health is in your hands, and prevention is the only cure. And if you want to be well, you got to chi well. Till tomorrow.